I don't believe any of what's going on here anymore. So I started searching and I found something for you. It will shake you to your core, I promise. At the same time, I naturally wonder why are asylum seekers prioritized over students? That's what Bild newspaper is writing today, not me. And the most popular politician in Germany now is, well, who would have thought Alice Weidel? She has even surpassed Julia Klöckner by now. Well, with a 29% approval rating, and Saxony-Anhalt, the polls still haven't been released, and I've heard something about why all these polls are being held back at the moment. Last but not least, yeah, you probably heard exactly the message I'm about to play for you now. Hold on, stop. And before you watch this message, I would really appreciate a like and a subscription. It would help my channel a lot. This way you hear the truth directly, not just what the press reports. I hope.
Thuringia's AfD leader Björn Hooker thinks that there are only real Germans in East Germany. The former history teacher expressed this view in a Swiss podcast conversation. And literally, the AfD politician said, in the west of the Republic, there are German-speaking Americans. In the east, there are German-speaking Germans.
Dear world, didn't you want to embarrass yourselves, or didn't you? Or why didn't you say which Swiss podcast it was? Everyone could have just listened to it themselves, those little over 2 hours. By the way, I've put the link for you down below. It was Weltwoche, and actually he said it a bit differently and also in a slightly different context. But he said something else, and yes, of course, you had to make sure that no one would listen to it and that he would be discredited right away. Because if you hear this as well, well, then you'll know why this podcast is being taken apart so much today and why no one says where it comes from.
Building new bridges where a dysfunctional political elite, acting on behalf of outside interests, has torn them down without any sense or reason.
I don't want to play the whole thing. Somehow it slipped in, and I don't know how. Anyway, he criticized the politicians for working against their own people. As I already said, if you're an asylum seeker here in Germany, you don't have to work. If you're receiving citizens allowance, you don't have to work. If you're studying, maybe to become a doctor or something like that someday, then yes, you have to work. Absolutely. So then you don't get any money handed to you. Lars Klingenbein said it again yesterday very clearly on ARD. He wishes for more migration to happen here and for even more people to come here, including to get our welfare benefits. And now, a bit later, comes this clip that I don't want to withhold from you, the one the world is talking about. And you should understand that beforehand.
Exactly. Americans don't always represent German interests. The European Union, this substitute fatherland of the West, we're Europeans now. Honestly, you could say that. Maybe they're being interpreted in an exaggerated way.
I just read that somewhere recently. I don't know if it was online or a comment or if it was a few months or years ago. Yeah, that's some context that fits in quite well. In the West, so in the Western Republic, there are German-speaking Americans or German-speaking Americans live there. And in the eastern part of the Republic, German-speaking Germans live. And I think that's a very big and important reason that needs to be mentioned if you want to explain the polarization of German society and also this East-West dichotomy. In the East, people are still Germans. In the West, over decades, they have found a substitute identity and have allowed American culture to completely take them over.
By the way, you can find that at about the 59-minute mark in the whole clip, which I have linked for you down below and back there. But if you look closely, it was really about something else entirely. Namely, German virtues. I'll just throw a few out there briefly. So here in the West, we prefer to eat burgers, fries, and currywurst, I'll just say, or döner. We've adapted a bit more to the people who came here, or to the occupying forces that were here. And in the East, for example, there are still more German traditions, which, by the way, has also been proven by several federal statistical offices that in the East people still live more by the old virtues, culturally speaking. That's why East Germans simply have no desire to be further ruined by the CDU and SPD governments, who back then, yes, were at the forefront and exploited the East at that time. They did. By the way, nobody knows that either. We'll cover that in a later video. And what really annoys people in the East, and now let me ask you quickly, if you're from the East, how does this sound to you, this next clip that I'm about to show you?
Patriotism was never gone. Nationalism was never gone. What was already attempted with reunification in 1990 and partly achieved, but never really reached that pop culture point where you could say, okay, this is cool again. By 2006 at the latest, you could just tell that this upbeat, celebratory patriotism, had its effects. In my opinion, that led to Pegida, that led to the AfD, not exclusively, but those are factors where flags, banners, and nationalism were normalized.
And just like here on my channel, the perfect example will now appear down in the comments. Want to bet that I can make it happen? If you're from the East, write down below if you see German flags on cars, see them anywhere outside, or if people are looking forward to the World Cup. If you're from the West, have you already seen displays where you can buy flags, where you can buy these pendants? And I don't mean just somewhere at a small Edeka stand, refrigerated section or something like that, where you might already walk by and see if you see German flags outside here in the West, that people are looking forward to the World Cup. It starts this week, and yes, we Germans are together again, and I'm watching the World Cup too. And where have the German flags gone? So, and now let's take a look at the comments tomorrow at this time. And I don't know yet how many will be down there, but I will list them below. Of course, you are all welcome to write 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 comments below as well. If you say we in the West are cooler, and if you say we in the East are much cooler. And I would just, even though I'm from the West, I would just put out the bold thesis. We get more comments from the East, even though I have a lot more viewers from the West who will tell me, yeah, the flags fly more with us than with you in the West. And with that, we've basically confirmed exactly what he said there. And a little note, my son also once built a steering wheel and a German flag out of Lego here. Why? Well, because we have the World Cup and we're looking forward to the German national soccer team. And I really just hope, that it doesn't go completely wrong again. Because no one or because everyone is afraid to show German flags in West Germany. And hey, the fan zone in Berlin, well, it doesn't exist anymore. They just can't provide security. You know what I mean? Yeah. Write down below how you actually feel about the fact that national pride is being so completely, really thrown in the trash.
Also to send clear messages, sometimes maybe even a provocation, out into the public. What kind of country is that, Mr. Kuppel? Where showing the central state symbol, the German flag, black, red, and gold, is enough to cause a political scandal.
Now I understand, dear world, why you did this today of all days, even though the interview is already 2 days old, where it was clearly stated again this morning. Like how Beatrix von Storch apparently waved a German flag in the Bundestag yesterday because demonstrators were calling for Friedrich Merz to resign. Now I understand why that's happening today. Just imagine if Germans started showing German flags again. Just imagine now during the World Cup if everyone started putting German flags under their car hoods, for example. That would be an absolute scandal, don't you think? So I just showed you the graphic. So Saxony is only in 5th place. I'm only watched by West Germans. Very few East Germans watch my videos. That's why I'm asking you, please share it with someone from the East. So that we get as many comments as possible below and so that we can show the West that Germany is not lost. Even if some statements by Björn Höcke, you can watch it, where I have to say I would have said it a bit differently or that was a bit over the top. Ben from Unscripted also cut out 2 scenes where I also said, well, for me, that's freedom of speech. But you can be a bit more conciliatory about it. Conciliatory damit sein. Like I said, feel free to share the video. I know in the East, they've always been pretty intense. Yeah, we know that as Westerners too. Yeah. They've always been that way. They wouldn't tolerate another dictatorship. They've fought it for a long time. Accordingly, they're a bit different. And we all love them because they show us that, yes, you can speak up. People in Germany should be allowed to speak just like Björn Höcke. Because And that's also clear from the interview. Björn Höcke stands in front of everyone else and says, okay, then settle it behind my back. Just attack me. I say what many people are thinking. And with that, I create enough controversy and definitely spark debates here in Germany. And that's so important. That's why I did a special broadcast today, because Björn Höcke said that only people in the East are still German and not in the West anymore. And I wanted to clarify exactly what he said. And yes, I'm definitely in favor of all of us, really all of us, getting out our German flags for the World Cup, showing them and making a statement. And yes, that we can all sing along with the German national anthem, at least those who live here in Germany and are cheering for the German national team. And yes, I won't let the World Cup be ruined for me this year. And I'll make a point of watching it, even though I'm actually not a soccer fan at all after what happened at the last World Cup.